top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Run for cover, you discover some will thrive and others suffer. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Woo! Don't wait, don't hesitate. Better speak the truth, let it resonate and let it detonate and get blown away. Till you keep on rising to a higher place. Can't stop, won't stop, don't stop coming till we hit the top. Gotta keep pushing till the day I make it. Since they won't give it to me, then I got to take it. The pain today is power tomorrow. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running. Cause I won't bow down. No matter what they say, I wouldn't do it any other way. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running. Cause I won't bow down. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Not enough, they keep us smothered. Lower class, never the upper. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of.
Good evening, you and Spacey Wolf Squadron. This is your Welcome in the Wu-Tang. I'm your werewolf, and we are doing the weekend evenings as right now. And a special announcement, as this is we're transitioning through this brand new year. We are proudly to present the new function that StreamYard has years ago have already presented us as it keep evolving. The co-host function. I'm going to be putting into some uses these future months as we go through this whole year of reconstruction. And with reconstruction comes with new opportunities, new transitionings, and new beginnings and new processes. So I won't be always around to host shows on my own like I used to all these years. As things are, let's just call it, life is kind of beckoning me to attend to. You dig?
Sure.
And
With a shovel.
Of course.
With this function. And so with this function, I'm going to be rotating the host duties for the crew. And as of acting co-host, we have the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell.
Good evening, morning, or afternoon, everyone. This is the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell, and welcome to part 2 of our communications quadrilogy, where this time we're covering the visual aspects of communication.
That's right. Our topic for tonight is visual communication. Do not let the title fool you. But Jesus, I sound like I'm getting old. Technically, I am. Still young, but I'm getting there. I'm walking a fine path towards the big 4-0. It's getting smaller and smaller every year. With us is the Sixth Ranger, the Snarky Darky Dark Stranger. Hey, shut up and do your damn line.
Hello.
And that's Snarky Darky Dark Stranger, everybody.
Yep.
We have the humblest of writers, Humble Marty.
Hello, happy New Year of the Snake. This is Humble Marty, and I write things.
Is it a small
Slayer of
snake?
Snakes is her secondary title.
It's Chinese New Year. Last time it was my Chinese zodiac, the year of the rat.
Who gives a damn about those? Who gives a damn about them Chinamen and their damn zodiac calendar?
Because the keepers are kind of cute.
We got yellow
both the
hate.
sexy ones and the ones with pants.
We got the yellow hate fever right now. Kidding. We love all Asian Americans here in these parts. We definitely love our rooftop Asians. We have, last but not least, the ever so elegant, ever so ever so fighting against suitors. Excuse me.
Good Lord.
The lovely Leia Valley
Lord
plus
have
size.
mercy. Good evening, everyone. Happy weekend. This is Leah Plus Size, your lovely lady of valor, and welcome to our part 2 discussion of communication. So we look forward to it. And we also look forward to any of your comments as well on this topic, this subject matter. So I hope you all enjoy the show. Suitors.
Lead us off, Dom. Well, you are displaying the image of Persephone, not Persephone. What was Odysseus' lady name? What was her name
Penelope.
again? Penelope.
Penelope.
God, that lady was.
Will,
that, that lady was Iron Wheel incarnate.
Who will now be
She helped
played
the
by
house down
Zendaya.
on her husband. Oh, fuck that bitch.
Oh.
That bitch. I don't think that woman is capable of playing a faithful wife, considering what she did in Dune Part 2.
Yeah,
Playing
and that's
Penelope, not Artemis, Athena or Cersei. Either way, none of them are right for her.
yeah. Not
Yeah,
to
right.
not to mention. Not to mention, and like with more of the cast revealed for this new adaptation of Odysseus, I just learned that Ellen Page is also in this project.
Yeah, really like, oh boy.
Jesus Christ.
You know, I'm not digging this cast. I have to be honest.
They were just
I'm not digging-
reaching for anybody they want to check off to have it in this production, as if just having their names alone is going to pull us in anymore. Like those days are long dead, guys. You killed it, you murdered it. We used to be happy for upcoming movie starring Val Kilmer.
Mhm.
Girls
Yeah.
girls get wet when every time they hear his name, and they ran to that movie theater because he was in it, or introducing George Clooney. That's for the wine old ladies for him, and starring
George
Pierce
Clooney
Brosnan.
plays a saxophone.
Pierce Brosnan
Yes, all
as
night.
Hercules.
That would
Which
be a weird
outfit?
cast.
Which outfit, though?
Good question.
But
Because
But-
if
But yeah,
if you wanted to attract the people into a little flesh, it would have to be the lion skin suit that is just a loincloth and a headdress. And if you wanted to attract the Disney adults who are trying to say, no, we're not attracted, you get the pseudo centurion armor
If you want
and the
butts and
himbo personality.
if you want guaranteed butts and seats, you say Henry Cavill as Hercules, and I guarantee you're going to sell tickets. Absolutely, I know I
Oh.
would.
Oh gosh, he'd
Yeah,
also
that-
get the he'd
Yes,
also
man,
get the
playing
lore
Hercules.
keepers too, because they love that he likes to keep stuff accurate.
And
Yeah.
Heracles was also a talented musician too.
mm-hmm. but before
he will have to go tan.
before we touch on where visual communications at currently, let's go over where it was, as well as go over our individual experiences with this aspect of communication. Any volunteers?
Dom?
Where it's at currently?
No, I mean where it was.
Are you talking about what we were saying last time?
Oh, where it was.
No. Visual communication as the subject. The subject of visual communication, where it was, how it was presented, how it was demonstrated back in the days.
And they
Visual
and they can range,
communicate.
and they can range
Sorry.
from music videos to even classical paintings.
Okay,
And what
now
it
you're
means
okay.
is the
The
language of
biggest
the
thing in the
visual.
picture was usually supposed to be the most important. If we're going all the way back thousands of years ago for visual communication.
I would have to go back to the arts on that one definitely when it came down to still images that look like they move when you look at them, especially the dinosaur books where they hired really good artists to depict the dinosaurs as lifelike as possible, and they showed that and you pick up a book and as inaccurate as they used to be back in the days, you cannot deny how lifelike those dinosaurs were just by seeing them. You got the T-Rex that looked like it's roaring, but it also looked like it was walking at all the same. You also had the herbivores that were also at peace wherever they were grazing. You had that going on. Very good stuff. As a kid, I used to look at that kind of stuff and just be transported into the world. And let's not forget novels back when they still got pictures and pages, but certain novels will have pictures and pages, and you know as you're reading
And
and
we would call
it,
them illustrated novels.
well, here's the thing. Here's another thing. Is that there's another thing about visual communication is what you're reading. You put a vision of what you're reading, and if you manage to paint the picture properly, did you ever feel rewarded when the moment you turn the page and there's a
I do.
picture depicting what you just read
Yep.
just now?
Yeah.
Did you ever get elated when you see that picture?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's meant to convey what you already just read, obviously, but like, you know, at, once the story is so good and so spicy and so crispy, and you just digging on it, then you flip that page, you just see that picture, you just like, oh, that is so well depicted of what I read just now.
Yeah. I
Oh yeah.
I remember experiencing that. That we're reading classics illustrated for either Oliver Twist, Little Women, or even the Invisible Man.
In my case, that one werewolf story book that I read back in middle school and showed the protagonist stabbing the wolf, and there's a page of the wolf leaping towards the protagonist, and he's standing firmly with his rapier out, and the rapier is driving its blade into the werewolf's abdomen, and you just
Mm.
feel that pain in the stomach, but you also feel the pain, especially on his face when he screams, spitting his face crunched up and screaming. It's like that. Like that has to hurt to feel that weight of that wolf landing on your blade like that.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
remembered when books, the book covers actually said what the book was about.
Oh yeah, which is something that is missing in most of today's books, especially in the mainstream. But we will touch on that later.
Well, there is
What?
one of them, I think Ishii brought it up earlier in his Nothing cast. I got to see that thing in real life when it was on the bookshelf, and it was one of the romance books, and I never noticed all of the drawing inconsistencies. I know it was supposed to look like a kitschy romance book, but it was like, yeah, but in somewhere in the series, one of them was Sweet Home Alabama Step Brother Edition.
Oh, I recall when I was reading
Uh-uh.
the classics illustrated edition of Oliver Twist. So like in the beginning portions of the book, well, like where Oliver and the rest of the kids in the orphanage like were having their porridge for breakfast, and Oliver like went up to the server and asked for more. Or when I turned the page, it showcased like that exact moment as well as the aftermath of the whole thing. Because like he was unjustly punished for asking for more porridge.
For me, it's very interesting, and I have several illustrations. I think about before Lord of the Rings came out, the different publications of Tolkien, but the illustrations were so beautiful of Middle Earth, of Rivendell, of the elves, of the characters. And as I read it, I wondered, did Peter Jackson look at these books and these illustrations to get inspirations for how the characters would be designed in the film? Because some are close to the design, or some are close to, because in some cases Tolkien describes what a character looks like. Or I know for the Hobbit, there's a good description of King Thranduil and how he looked, and there would be illustration in there, and then it was very good. And then you go and then you see the movie, and I said, he must have been inspired by the recent publication. This is before the movie was released, the early 2000s, 2002, 2001, when they re-released new copies of the novels that I think are still out, but they are full of pictures. Not all the characters, but mostly. And the illustrations are beautiful, especially of Middle Earth and some of the characters, Hobbiton. It just brings it to life. It's like you could just hop right in there. So even if you you never saw the movie, you visually got an idea of what the world was like through the illustrations. And then when you see the movie, you would say, yeah, that just jumped out of the book. And also honorable mention, what about comic books? And I remember at my job, a coworker of mine who had a huge comic book collection gave me a copy of the Winter Soldier comic before the movie came out, because he told me, well, you should look at this first before you go see the movie and see what it's about. And I have to tell you, the artwork for the Winter Soldier, Captain America, the Winter Soldier comic really was amazing. I really had to give it to, I cannot remember and no, was it Alex Ross? I don't think Alex Ross did the illustrations for the Winter Soldier comic.
No.
So if anybody, I can't remember the illustrator's name. So if anybody out there listening knows the name of the illustrator for the Winter Soldier comic that it was based on, because the artwork in that comic was brilliant. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of artwork pictures where there is no thought bubble or there's no words. It's just the scene and the emotions that the characters are feeling. Like the scene is different in the film, but it's the scene where Steve confronts the Winter Soldier and knows that it's Bucky, and it's very intense. And the artist really shows it on the close-ups of Steve's eyes and Bucky's as well, because there's a panel where he's near Bucky and he tells him, Bucky holds the gun to his head. He literally shows the illustration of the gun to his head, and he said, if you could pull the trigger, basically it's saying, if you can pull the trigger, go ahead and do it. If you don't believe I'm Steve Rogers, go ahead and pull the trigger. I stand right there. And the illustration, you don't need words, because you can actually feel it in how the artist drew their emotions and their intensities in the eyes and in the face and in the contact. And I said to myself after reading it, I said, I hope the same intensity is used in the movie, because I read it in one day at work because the illustration
What year
was so good.
Was it?
It was he's had it. He has a huge comic book collection, but he let me look at it or read it about a year before the release of the Winter Soldier movie. I think the Winter Soldier movie was April of 2014, I believe, but I think somewhere around September, somewhere, I can't remember, somewhere in that time between September and October, he gave me a copy.
Issue.
I can't remember. I'm sorry. I can't remember. He knows it better than I can. But he says, I've got a copy of the comic book that movie is based on. And I'll let you read it. And I said,
if
okay.
It's the Winter Soldier story arc, I think it was Steve Epting.
Steve Epting, yes.
It was who?
Yeah. It's Steve Epting.
He was the illustrator.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was the illustrator and one of Ed Brubaker's most frequently collaborated artists.
Okay, yeah. See, I was getting Ed Brubaker and him mixed up, because I thought Brubaker was the artist, but he's not. It was the other man you just said. It does sound like it's familiar. If I could find some of the pictures, I'll put it in the private chat there. If I, that intense scene, but that artist was good because I hadn't read a comic book in a long time. But you do get the thought bubbles, but mostly he didn't use a lot of thought bubbles. I mean, you had some dialogue, but not a lot. It's like the picture said everything, particularly those tense scenes between the showdown between Steve and the Winter Soldier. When Steve realizes that Bucky is the Winter Soldier and goes to confronts him, those scenes are really intense. The artwork, by the way.
I
So
concur.
I could just imagine, almost feel the feelings of both of the characters.
The
You know?
tension and the suspense.
Yes. Yeah. I really, because I told you I finished it in a day. He said, "Oh no, you can keep it as long as you want. You read it." I said, "Well, I'll get it back to you because I know your comic book collection is precious." But I just sat there and I said, "Yeah, I could really feel the tension and the emotion of the character. I really thought it was some good artwork." And I said, comic books have come a long way now because they really are like, it's like artwork. It really is artwork because Stannis really had, yeah, you basically said it. You could feel the tension, you could feel the emotion without words. He just showed it through the artwork, particularly on those moments. The colors, of Steve's uniform and of Bucky's uniform and
They were
Winter
harmonious.
Soldiers. Right, right, they were. But I would have to say communication is interesting because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of dialogue. You kind of knew the scene, but the illustrations said everything. I think that's the best way I can put it. You know. So you got me ready for
But
the movie because the comic book was. I can see why. I can see why the comic book was popular. I can see
right.
why. Mhm.
Well, I mean, it's not just that, but Ed Brubaker's run on Captain America is just as memorable and talked about as the original Jack Kirby and Joe Simon run and Mark Grunwald. But way back in the day, like between the '90s and the 2000s, Marvel Comics would actually do some enough set issues where there are absolutely no dialogue and the pictures they tell the story.
Yeah,
That
because
was. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say yeah because in the comic, Steve was going through some serious PTS.
PTSD.
Really,
or
PTS.
just
Yeah.
or as it was originally called, shell shock.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the illustrations of the shell shock he was going through, yeah, it was some really deep stuff. And I don't mean by, like you said, it said a lot. Some really deep stuff. I remember one illustration where he's getting flashbacks to the war and the dead bodies that he saw, and they had that in the illustration. I'm like, that's some pretty deep stuff there. But you're right, Dom. It I didn't need words. It kind of showed everything. The pictures explained everything. You felt everything just by looking through the pictures.
Well, also, much like with high art from the classicals and even from like art like with Art Nouveau, Art Deco, and even so like American frontier based art, or like it's not just it showcase the technical skills and the major aesthetics that makes like good art from composition to movement. However, it's not just the technical skills that really evaluates what makes good art. It's also like the three major principles: symmetry, balance, and proportions. The same those same principles are applied in low art, i.e., graphic novels and comic books and manga. Even the golden ratio has been applied to sequential art as well. Well, as much as like high art and even in architecture.
That's true. I'm sorry, Humble. What were you going to say? I didn't
Hmm.
mean it.
I was gonna say, I remember during that time, Western comics had taken a lot of, took a lot of inspiration from manga when they did more of their show don't tell storyline and vice versa.
Yeah,
But
yeah. We were seeing we were well those who were there or we learned them through history books or even videos. The like creators like taking inspiration from Eastern storytelling, like that was occurring like back in the 80s,
True. True.
until they hit its peak between the 90s and the early to mid 2000s.
And the other thing I remembered is you could tell a difference between well, the ones that decided to take a bunch of different art directions. Like I'd read one comic that was all watercolor, but it was kind of a muddied mess. If I remembered what the title was, then I know it, because then I could say it was a good comic, but I kind of didn't because it was one of those that was supposed to be intellectual VR horror mess.
No, Buddy Smith, he's bringing up Frank Miller's Ronin for DC, and he's not wrong about it being a good early instance of a creator being inspired by Eastern storytelling as well as the history and culture of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, Ronin served as the inspiration for Gendy Tartakovsky's Samurai Jack because he read that comic book series as a kid.
Yep.
It's just okay. Manga, I'm still learning about, so there's nothing. I don't have too much to say on that. I would have to look at more artwork of manga.
If
But it's
if you
interesting.
were
Go ahead, Mama.
okay, if you were looking for something that could be a little bit more towards the Western story version of Western comics, City Hunter by Ryo Seiba, books done by him are very realistic. He did realistically proportioned
Fairly.
ladies, fairly realistic, and lots of good action scenes.
It's a fun manga series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, disappeared. Artist disappeared. I hope he
As
gets
usual.
back.
Jeff
Oh, well,
Smith's Bone is a good comic with fun art. Yes, yes, it is. Yes,
Oh,
it is.
I need to own Bone. I need to own Bone.
Dude,
I
it's a
really do need to own
classic.
Bone. Bone is it is definitely a classic. I need to get the whole entire big fuck all book of it. That that doorstep of a book. I need to get that book.
Like heck,
I remember reading Bone through through Disney's Adventure comics in the Disney's Adventure magazines, and then happened upon the comic itself at my library. Jesus, like I was like, I'm on it. Let me finish this one now. Finally getting the context of everything because I was getting it in snippets, of course, because it's a magazine that showcased comics and had their own comics too, of course. Comic strips that detailed scenes from movies, their movie products. You know,
oh yeah, no, very.
um, uh, original stuff as well. They also had their own original stuff. News and the like. But when I got around to actually reading the comic book itself, I was floored, to say the least. I was very floored at how, because what I got from the Disney Adventure snippets never really prepared me for what was going to happen later on in the story or what was happening during the story either. I was not prepared for all the blood I was going to see. I was also not prepared for the mind games the main villainess, and yes, I said villainess, was going to do. I was not prepared, you know, for certain deaths as well. But
Well,
again,
look,
I was floored
yeah,
when
just
I
go.
was as I was reading it, and I never regret reading it ever, never
That looks
once.
good.
that book series is fun
Yeah,
and
and
very
if you were
adult in some places, in the right places, of course. It's not is to say it's a children's book is doing it. I would say it's
a
doing it a big
disservice.
disservice, and to really maintain that argument is just outright offensive
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
it can be told to children, it can be read by children, but all the same, children can handle a lot of things.
that's
I mean,
one
heck,
of
Trust me.
look at Roald Dahl in his books, which included like illustrations that was done by his artist.
well, there are a lot of books that are sort of in between the. Okay, granted, they called it young adult, but it is literally the in between stage of the little kid books into the big adult books, and it's supposed to be the stepping stone, but lots of people just get stuck at that point.
Not to mention the term young adult has been perverted as time went by.
I didn't even know
Not
there's
to
a prequel
mention the
to Bone.
standards. However, that will be touched on in part three of communications, written communication.
So what are you going to go over when it comes down to the visual communications, Dom?
Well, so with visual communication, like it all comes, it all boils down to like if you're able to convey what it is that you want to present, then like visually, whether it's through a PowerPoint slide or through movies, video games, illustrated novels, and comics, and as well as manga. Like, if you want, you want to make sure that you're able to tell tell a story not only succinctly but in a way that uh, not only flies over people's heads, but also it doesn't talk down to them. They treat the readers or the viewers with respect.
The tropes
Or it doesn't
and
insult their intelligence?
look up the early art by Ray
Oh,
Bradbury, the
humble.
Halloween Tree book. The art is me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, right.
No, go ahead.
No, that's a good example of visual communication.
Well, the tropes and well, let's see, tropes, symbolism, uh, even the plot formulas are all a big thing for visual communications.
Okay, so are we saying that the author, whatever form of communication they're doing, whether it be through a comic book or a novel or a book or
Well,
video game, illustrate
illustrated novel.
Well,
illustrated
look
novel,
at it.
is it to get their? Oh, I'm sorry, Humble. I was just going to ask a question. Is it to try to communicate the
No. Ask your
story?
question, Leah.
It
It's
Yeah.
well,
Yes, the
you
visual
got your you
communication
got
story.
your straightforward part, which is usually in the westerns where the good guys wear the white hats and the bad guys wear the black hats. And then you have the nuance in the story where some of the good guys seem to be corrupt as heck, but they're just trying to balance out a system. And then you have the bad guys that can actually end up being somewhat noble, but evil as heck.
Mm-hmm.
80s version of that was Autobots versus Decepticons. Autobots was autonomous robots, Decepticons, deceptive construction. And yet they had a labor vehicle turn into a tank, and he's leading a bunch of war machines, and the other guy is just some nerd who's a semi truck, and he's leading like everyone else. He ended up with the guys that was like the guys that were from Police Academy after they lowered the standards. That's what Optimus got for most of his army, and Megatron got all of the warriors. You end up having that in a lot of westerns and pulp fics, because it's like, well, how do you get the good guy to be relatable? Well, you give him all the worst toys, and he has to fight the better toys with bad parts.
Great analogy.
In other words, they work with what they have.
Yes. And if you have the
not
good
always the
guys
case
have all of
back
the
in the
best
days.
toys, then it's the soldiers that usually have the flaws and the dysfunctionality. Or you could have like Captain Planet, which was, what kind of pollution can we slap them with today?
Now, see, for me,
Pretty much.
whatever I'm reading, if what I'm getting a visual communication, I like to be straightforward. I don't like it to be too abstract. I don't want any of these writers and illustrators who try to talk down to me or feel they're smarter than the audience that they're drawing or writing for. I'm very much turned off by that. And if I can't figure out what it is or what it's trying to communicate, guys, I don't finish reading it. I don't. There's an old saying that someone said: if you're reading a book and if you don't enjoy the first 3 chapters, don't try to finish the book. So whatever it is I'm reading, if they try to go overboard or I can't figure out what they're communicating, I'm out of it. I really am. So
Yeah,
I don't like anything.
That's true. You're right. That's one of the reasons why I ended up That's one of the reasons why I ended up using a lot of the made-up names a lot less. It worked for Robert E. Howard when it was Sluggarth and I don't know what that other name was. That was hard to pronounce. It works for a while until you get to book further on down the series, and then it all sounds like like if a Midwestern American was trying to speak Klingon without all
Hotep.
of the without
Sub
any of the
niggereth.
accent. Yes. Yes. That
Shaka
sends a
magala
note down.
shaka amalaga.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Dark Horse Comics, especially in the late 80s and 90s, most of their comics had good art. Yes, they did.
Oh yeah. No, very very much.
Keyword most.
Another one, I didn't read it, but I saw panels from it back in the 90s before the movie opened, was the graphic novel based on the movie The Crow. The Brandon Lee Crow, let me emphasize that. And I didn't
the original by James O'Barr. Like
yes.
in the source material, O'Barr knew when to include dialogue within the sequential art storytelling.
Yeah, I did. It's now but it is more, well, how can I say more graphic? It is graphic in nature, which I understand because the world of The Crow is a dark world. So I understood the violence and
it's more apt to say it's gothic.
Yeah. And that was a big thing in the 90s, was gothic. I think that's a good way to express it. But when the film came out, I looked it up for research and said, oh, this is the book that's based on. And I said, oh, look at the artwork, because there were panels where, again, not much is said. There are some panels where you get the thoughts of Eric Draven, but you also get panels, you go through a whole page where there is no dialogue and it's just the illustrations that you see. So you just get, the few words are kind of like your guide, but the pictures just fill out the blanks for you.
Yeah, the the one book I couldn't get into was The Sandman.
Oh yeah, I never read it.
It
Go
was.
ahead.
I know it was supposed to be one of those deep philosophical things, but I never could really get into it. I ended up
I don't blame
liking
you.
the comics version of the Dresden Files when they had Harry Dresden trying to save a gorilla from a bunch of hags.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
I'm
actually
not
from Welcome to the
meaning,
Jungle.
yeah, Welcome to the Jungle. And of course, his were the monster versions, folklore, and they're built like tanks.
Yeah, yeah, and they actually match how Jim Butcher described them in the original novels.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's
it's good
funny
like that.
Insists upon
because
itself.
yeah, and it was
Yeah.
funny because when you got to see most of the story, it was really good. And then the other one that I liked for a while was the what was the one with the female vampire slayer turned necromancer? Anita
Oh,
Blake.
Anita Blake,
I liked
but
the
that was
part
before
that
its fall
made
from grace.
true, but the part that made the Anita Blake comics so hilarious is all of the men in there were handsome. I mean, they weren't just the comic book handsome or the by shonen handsome. They were these beautiful Greek gods in regular clothes. And of course, I dropped the book series because my favorite character, who was the ever overly bitten stripper, got killed off in book one.
Oof.
I was like, I loved
Mhm.
Stripper Dude. Bye bye, Stripper Dude. Bye bye, Anita Blake.
If Stripper Dude dies, we riot.
Yes.
Well, Stripper, it's weird because in the Anita Blake series is basically the saucier version of Twilight.
Mhm.
Yeah,
She's
it wasn't always
yeah,
like that. It became that way in the
Twilight
later
with
books.
guns.
yeah. In the later versions, it became a harem story. She ended up having a bunch of husbands.
Which unfortunately,
Including a werepanther.
yeah, which unfortunately saw the decline of the author's writing, and it's honestly a blessing in disguise. Guys, that the comic book series didn't continue on, because if they even like reached to the later books, yeah,
If they
there'll be some
did,
edits.
you would have to have some very creative artists and some very wet artists.
Yeah, or otherwise, like create two versions, safe for work and not safe for work.
With the right angling and the right positions, you could make something go under the radar with many sensors.
Yeah. Well, another book series that received a comic book adaptation is Stephen King's.
Sexual.
Oh my God.
Or
No, just
sexual.
to open that. Just to open that door.
Sexual.
Oh, goodness.
Are you done?
I'll make love to you
Oh, God.
like you want me to.
Oh, God.
Well, you got the feet going north and the feet going south, and the bed springs to having a lot of workout for that point.
My favorite.
So,
My
anyway, you were
body
saying,
all
Dom?
over your body, baby.
Oh, my
Your
God.
body all over my body. It's your body,
No,
baby.
no,
All
no,
over your
no,
body, girl.
no, no, no.
Down,
no.
boy.
Do not
I will be a freak
ruin
in
those
the
songs.
morning, freaking.
Do not ruin those songs with your singing. You still got a lot to improve.
I'll be a
As
freak in the morning, freak in the
no,
evening.
Oh my
And if you're a
goodness.
freaky dicky,
hey,
No.
hey, fearless leader, stay on track.
why I keep hearing footsteps, baby,
Oh,
in the dark,
oh my goodness.
on the dark.
We
Why?
yeah.
Dark hasn't said anything for the past few minutes. Where the hell is he? Is he
I'm
feeling
scared.
asleep?
I'm scared to ask him, because I fear the answer of illustrations and books and novels, and I'm just I
All I know
wonder.
about Anita Blake is that Brett Booth illustrated the graphic novel adaptations.
He's
Yeah,
not wrong.
you're right. He probably
Brett
did.
Booth.
There was
Brett Booth
also
was getting his
a.
skeletal muscular dudes.
I think there was also a sexy version of Frankenstein.
Which is an
Mm-hmm.
adaptation of Dean Koontz's Frankenstein novel, which also got turned
Hmm.
into a movie. However,
Yeah, I
however,
like the short story out of it. The other one, I was like, they didn't spend enough time on the Frankenstein guy. They spent a lot of time on this one mom and her kid,
yeah, but
which
that's
was kind of sad because it was like, great, so you have this sexy dude who was basically built like Frank Frazetta decided to design Byakuya from Bleach, and he's supposed to be able to endure everything a tank endures. Why didn't they show that?
good
I don't
question.
think we needed to see his
Oh, you know
six-pack abs during the whole PowerPoint presentation.
But
Oh, you
as
know
I was
what?
saying earlier,
Right.
before we transition to Dark, another book that received a comic book and graphic novel adaptation is Stephen King's Dark Tower series, starting with The Gunslinger Born, and that series was done by J. Lee, and it also remains like a solid choice to really illustrate like, King like Dark Tower series, and even when there aren't any in like speech bubbles, people like the caption boxes as well as the movement of each character, he was able to help convey them from the heroes to the villains.
Hmm,
And
yeah,
not
true.
to mention, yeah, he made sure to have not only have the background have depth and weight to them, but also have each of the characters feel alive as they move move on like in a kinetic fashion. All right, Dark. You're up on your experiences with visual communication through comics or even video games and novels. Not novels, movies.
Ugh. Where do I start with that one? Hmm.
It's your choice.
Oh.
Keep it PG.
Hmm?
Nothing. Nothing.
That's a tall ask.
I know, but I was trying. Maybe I'll take it back. I don't know if he can. So no, I'll let him express himself.
I could express myself a lot if you want.
No, just just Dark, just as a Tom's question.
Ah,
Uh-uh.
tisk. Gee. Oh, I've absorbed so much content. It's like there's not really one you could pick. Uh, phew. I mean, if we're talking about visual
Pick which one is coming to the
contact,
forefront the most.
what's that now?
I said, pick which one that's coming to the forefront the most.
Okay. Well, if we're talking about visual contact, or yeah, that expresses like some kind of message or emotion deeply, dread, horror, love, etc. I think one of the things that really influenced me, and yes, it is a very nude and sex scene. You're welcome, Leia.
Oh,
It's one
Lord
I
help
saw
you.
as a kid. It's not a great horror movie. It's called the Church. It's a Italian thing by I think Dario Argento
Ah,
helped make it since his
Italian
daughter
giallo.
was in it. No, not Giallo. Giallo's like extreme, like no Giallo. It was just horror. Uh, anyways, Templars kill some Satanists, and the grounds that they did it and buried all the bodies eventually has a church. Blah blah blah. Seals broken by some asshole, and demon spirits come out and start in killing people. Blah blah blah. But one of the things is what you believe is the main female of the movie. And kind of the love interest to the asshole who started it all. I remember this scene visually, so it sticks with me. Is she's the guy, uh, or I don't know if it's Satan or or it's I believe it was Baphomet. So pretty much a goat monster thing. And here it is. She's like getting tranced, and you know, pretty much the ending of her is she's getting railed, and that's just how her
Oh
character
wow.
ends. She's just on a stone slab getting railed by Baphomet, literally. But it's one of those things that kind of stuck with me in a weird way. Not because it's ooh that's sexy or anything. It's just like she's terrified, and then all that demon shit gets in her head, and she's so bewitched that like her will and everything's just broken, and she's just now like this puppet, this lust tool for this monster. And I don't know, that's one of those things that always stuck with me. It was weird and sad
Ooh,
and
spit roast
horrific.
and mind break.
Yeah. Uh, on a positive aspect, I guess one visual meme was the aspect of like a self-sacrifice, and in a way that you wouldn't think, because it was like the heavy metal movie, and it was that Tarna segment and how it ended. Like, okay, she defeated the evil cult guy, so now she's got to fight the evil orb. And how she do it? Well, she becomes cosmic lightning and dives into it and dies, and but takes that thing with her. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty impressive. You know, it's,
Yeah, and the visuals. It was from that moment of heavy metal. It really helps convey the selflessness of her character, which led to her self-sacrifice.
yeah, and I think
To
when
protect.
you talk
That
about
is the code.
yeah, visual contact or message, that was a pretty good segment to really highlight that, because she does not speak at all. So you have to understand her emotion through her
Mm-hmm.
facials or her action. So when she's angry, she gives that
Almost
little.
rotoscope
When she's
ish,
shocked,
but
she.
it's not really rotoscope.
Hmm?
I said it's almost rotoscope like, but it's not really rotoscope.
Yeah. Well,
you talk about
most. Go on.
Tarna from Heavy Metal.
Yeah, I was about to, okay, all right. Are you talking about the first heavy metal movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I follow you.
Yeah,
Okay.
not 2000.
Okay, yeah. Well, that first one was. I can see what you mean. That the animation in that one was stunning. I have to admit for that particular story. But go on. I didn't
Mm,
mean to interrupt you. But go on.
I don't know. That's just all I can think of at the moment. It's if I
Because
have
you're
to
right.
really go on.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I want to say you're right. We have to follow along with her because she doesn't speak at all. We kind of have to go with the emotions that the animation has to convey.
Hmm.
Also
Ooh,
reading her body language,
Yes.
Yikes!
because
Yeah.
like what visual communicate what these like visual mediums help. It's not just with verbal communication, but nonverbal as well.
Right. And that's what I found when I first saw it very interesting how but it still sucked me in because like you said the communication was through her body language and her facial expressions. Which yeah, with each as she goes through her journey and her task of destroying that thing. And I thought that was different.
Lochnar.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot the name of it. But it worked though, because I got it. And then isn't that interesting? They were able to
Yeah.
convey it. Not everybody's able to do that, but that was they were able to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, and animators today can't really do that. Shocking.
No, yeah, it's very interesting. Back in the day for that film, like for instance, for that character, they can do it, but they can't do it now. But yeah, like back then, even I got it. I was able to be sucked into the story through her body language and facial expressions as she went from each planet and the creatures that she encountered to what was coming ahead of her without saying a word. And
Hmm.
that was rare.
ooh, wanna slice you up. Ooh,
Oh, but we were just
wanna bash your face.
that's the that's not what the song is. That was
I'm wordly conveying her journey throughout that whole segment.
it. That's what you. Oh my god. Oh my goodness gracious.
Ooh,
I know.
gonna put this armor on.
Oh,
She didn't wear a lot of armor, did she?
No, she didn't.
No,
mm.
she
She wore
wore.
armor in the right places.
Yeah, she kind of wore the heavy metal stripperific
Aesthetic.
armor. Yeah.
I ain't got no problem with that. Do you?
No. Who would?
Nope.
Well, wait. No, I know who would, but fuck them.
Still need to finish that movie Fire and Ice.
Ah, fire and ice.
I never saw that.
I need to
It's
finish
good
that one too.
animation and character. The story isn't bad, but it's one of those things that you feel could have used a little more polish.
It's a it's a extremely simple storyline, but what makes it funny is everyone is photorealistic.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's what happens when you have Ralph Bakshi and Frank Frazetta decide to animate people.
Damn right.
Right. And speaking of Frank Frazetta, so he is a master artist that even after he died, that he continues to inspire like countless artists, not just over here in the West, but all over the world. And each of his artworks was like they're able to communicate to the viewers of what is happening within those pictures.
Oh, slipped my mind that quick. was going to bring up something else. Slipped my mind that quick. Another. Oh yes.
Here's
Has
one.
anyone?
Why
Okay.
haven't you mm,
Well,
got
you.
me a bone to chew?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's not what I was thinking, but I was going to ask. That's interesting. Just they were talking communication to film. Has anyone on the panel seen Nosferatu yet? I have
I
not, but
have
has anyone? You
I
have?
have.
Which one?
Yeah.
the recent one.
The,
Well,
the,
the new one. Well, but Robert Eggers.
I have not seen it, so this is good for those of you who have, and you can spoil because I know how the story goes. For those who have seen it, like that I've talked to, there are some who liked it, and then who some said the visual look of the film was better than the dialogue of the film or the story. So,
Oh,
for those of you who have seen it on the panel, what made it more successful? Because I have some that didn't think it was all that great, but it was nice to look at. And then there were some who enjoyed everything about it. So, for those of you who have seen it, did you enjoy it? Did you like the visuals? Did you like the story? Did the visuals help to communicate the story? Because I'm hearing mixed reviews from people that I know that have seen it, and some
I had
don't
no
think it's all
problem with his mustache.
bad. Really?
Nope.
So some that I spoke to said Skarsgård was not good in the role.
No, he did a good job. I don't know what everybody else is thinking. I bought him being Nosferatu. I bought the visual style of him being this
Hmm.
very decrepit creature
Nope.
of the night.
A
That was
very
that was
ancient vampire.
now,
that's what Eggers was going for. He was going for him being this wretched, decrepit thing that still had some power, some sway over people. And
mm,
it's when you
Does
really
it
boil
still have
down
those
to it,
really cute fangs that look like bunny teeth?
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to look like
not
a giant rat.
really.
Not really.
He actually has, for lack of better description, shark teeth.
Which shark teeth were which shark teeth that people may recognize from like the comic book series and even its film adaptation, 30 Days of Night.
Hmm.
or Twilight.
oh,
Twilight had
you're funny.
Twilight didn't have shark teeth. It was, you could have seen them more on Hellsing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's basically
I think they
a
went with
good
the
comparison.
retractable one because if,
Back to the
yeah.
explanation of the movie. No, Skarsgård really did a really good job of portraying the creature itself. The fact that when oh I already forgot the dude's name. That's probably an indictment of the movie in itself right there already.
Oh,
Mhm.
But
Harker.
yeah, Harker, when Harker goes to meet him, and what I was gonna say was this motherfucker went this motherfucker tricked a guy into free real estate just so he
Yeah,
can get at his wife
and it's
because
also
she made a bargain. Listen to me doing a movie spotlight without even talking about the damn movie, without even it being a movie spotlight. I mean, but no,
Mm.
like I'll save that for the movie spotlight for
Okay.
this movie, the planned movie spotlight coming up. But visually, they kept the. A lot of people complain that you see Orlok a lot in the movie. Yes, you do,
yeah,
but majority of the time he is in shadow and he's silhouetted half the
yeah,
time.
Hmm.
yeah. And it's actually it reminded me of Saren of Mass Effect, where yes, where he does receive appearances, but you don't see him for the majority of the game, but you feel his presence.
Same thing
Mm.
with Malik and Kotor. But here's my argument for the whole you see Orlok a lot. You saw him a lot in the original, and you
Mm.
had no problem with it then.
I haven't seen it, but I think to be fair, it's got to be questioned. The critiques against Skarsgård, is that an actual opinion on the movie, or is it just people are still about Skarsgård from that other movie that came out around the same time?
Boy
You
Kills
know,
World.
the No Crow thing.
Yeah, that well, from those that have spoken to me
I
that have seen it,
don't think it's motivated behind
mhm,
that.
I don't think so either.
Actually, I really don't think it's motivated behind that because Skarsgård has been in a lot of movies well before he even did that movie. So I don't think that movie is gonna hurt his image, let alone hurt his career, because he's still Pennywise to most people.
Yeah, but you see his chest and you're like, where's the drippy nipple?
Oh, good Lord. So the mustache didn't bother you. I thought it.
No,
I mean, okay, all right. No, I believe it's
well,
okay. It's okay because
the
I'm hearing
reason why it
different
didn't
opinions.
bother me, let me just get this off out there. The reason why it didn't bother me is due to it fit with what he was dressed as, the way how
Oh,
he
Mm-hmm.
dressed himself. It
so he didn't have the Ned Flanders cookie duster mustache?
no,
Nope.
he had the
No, he
porn
had the
stash
but
handlebars,
he did.
but the thing is, it was fitting for the style he was dressed in.
Mm.
He was dressed like a uh, I'm gonna say Prussian or Russian.
A
Yeah, Prussian.
Prussian. No, you got it right. It's Prussian.
Yeah, he was dressed almost like Prussian or probably Ukrainian style. He had that big squarey furry hat thing going
Yeah,
on with
definitely Prussian.
yeah with the big coat and everything. So it a lot of people were telling me that, well, not telling me, from what I heard, whispers and murmurs was the stats and film well. And I was like, I have to see this for myself to really make that decision or really join in on their criticism. And when I saw it, I was like over in Mattel when he looked at Tyrion as a baby. I was like, this mustache is fine. It goes well with his get up. And you got to look at it like this as well. He's a beast that is still trying to be human to some degree. And there are times where you can almost tell that he's kind of failing at it, that he's kind of at this point losing himself to his animalistic behavior at times. But what really sold me as him being Orlok was his voice, mostly. I mean,
Mm.
I was really like very anxious to hear what the way how he talked mostly, if
Mm-hmm.
he did talk, if he was allowed to talk, or what was he going to just be this very silent thing, and people are the only ones that are talking, right? That's what I got the impression of the trailers from mostly. But when he talked, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
Jeez.
My computer speakers, when he talked, it felt like he was in the same room with me.
Brushing
He
his
had this
porno stash right against your neck.
right, he had this very gravelly, crackly voice going on, like he smoked 1,000 pack of cigarettes, but he made it found he he drip feeds it in your ear. Let's just say that he drip feeds your ear with it. It's like the moment he, let me find a quote from the movie just to illustrate what he was saying. Now that we're on the visual communications, I'm gonna give you the
Yeah.
Hungarian. Thank you, Will. Hungarian. He was very Hungarian in his get up. Right. He was a
He's a hungry Hungarian.
yeah, definitely. But man, that Jesus, that when he spoke to Harker, oh my goodness, he had this very very I don't know if it was enhanced or anything, but Skarsgård really nailed that. I'm trying to find a quote. Hold on.
And then Dom said he saw it too. Then we'll hear Dom's experience while he's looking for the quote. Dom. The reason I'm bringing this up is because now, for me, yet I have not seen it yet because I've never really liked the character of Nosferatu, the classic version, the one in the 70s, and so I've never really got. That's one vampire that's not just been on my list. You know, I'm a Dracula and look vampire Lestat kind of babe.
So here
But
we go.
oh, okay.
So Ellen Hunter says this: I have felt you crawling like a serpent in my body. It is not me. It is your nature. No, I love tongues. Love is inferior to you. I told you, you're not of humankind. You're a villain to speak so. I am appetite, nothing more. I was like, "Ugh. Ugh. You are my infliction. You know, ugh.
Sounds like he needs a coffee.
But you know, it sounded like that. But if you watch the movie, he
You're
does
not
it
the
way better
only
than me.
you're not the only one that said these are for people who I've talked to that have seen the movie. So some people feel the way you do, Wolf. Some for those that I spoke to said that in the theater that they saw the movie at when Sarsgaard spoke as Nosferatu, it sounded like his voice was reverberating through the theater. Now the reason that I asked, we talk about communication. I have half of people who have said the movie visually was beautiful to look at and communicated the mood and feeling of the story and Nosferatu himself, but the story didn't do much for them. Then there were some that liked the whole experience. And then there were some that were 50-50. So that's why I was just asking for those of you guys have seen it, what was your experience from it? I have not seen it yet. I'm not rushing out to see it yet. Maybe I will eventually.
It is
Because I'm
certainly
not.
one of his weaker movies. All the movies he's done, it's his weakest. I will admit that much.
Mhm.
Because I'm still conflicted by the ending of how it ends. Um,
Yeah, no,
when
I
you
hear you.
when you take yourself and you step outside the whole frame, you know, throughout the whole movie, I mean, it can be summed up in one word: presence. That's all it ever was throughout that whole movie was presence until he actually do something. Like
Mhm.
in truth, he doesn't really do physically. He doesn't really do much of anything. Uh, supernaturally, he is a
Really?
presence, and
Oh, okay.
he affects everything around at a fairly large distance,
Like
per se.
Santa.
Well, he affects things in one instance in one part of the land, but the moment he steps into their town, he does affect a lot of things. Some of it is kind of told, not shown. Some of it is visually shown, and
Aha.
it Eggers he I don't know what to call this because I have to give it a second watch to really
Mhm.
formulate a full opinion. But from the first watch, when you really think about it, he doesn't really affect much of everything. It's just everybody doing everything towards his bidding, and you know he really the horrible thing he does is fuck with a family because he threatened the main actress you know if she doesn't concede to their arrangement, because it was an arrangement that she made in the past before she got married, you know. And goodness gracious, that whole scene was just ugh. That was also horrifying. But yeah, it's an interesting movie. Jump scares are well balanced and managed. There's only one jump scare where it has the music sting, but everything else, like as far as like jump scares concerned, they're natural, they're atmospheric. There's a moment where one of the characters is wading through the dark while she's holding a candle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then she the moment she turns to her right, there's a main actress, and she screams, and there's your jump scare right there. You're jumped with her, but there's no sound sting whatsoever. It's her scream that's a sting. And I was like, oh,
Oh.
Eggers, please pave the way for better jump scares. That was beautifully done. That
Oh.
was beautifully done. Right there. We're back
Oh.
to natural scares. Yes, it's a false scare for sure, but it was natural. How how many times have you ever turned to any turn over your shoulder, any shoulder you like, and somebody just walked up to you and not saying anything, and that shook you because you were all in your own head, or in her case, she was very scared throughout that whole let's let's explore what's the occurrence, right? But yeah, yeah, that was a really neat jump scare for that one. I really like that one. Hell, the scene where Hutter tries to when he discovers Orlok in the coffin, and he opens his eyes and attack him, like that was a neat jump scare too. And yeah, well, actually no, that's the second time we get a music stinger, but it was a worthwhile stinger where he just gets up, grabs him, and oh my god, the scene where he's feeding on Hutter. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, we're talking about visual communication. I'm gonna have to visually
Yes.
communicate with my voice on this one. The words I'm gonna pick. Put you like this. This Orlok feeding on Hutter outbeats anything Interview with the Vampire. Interview with the Vampire makes you horny.
Oh,
Orlok
good
feeding
Lord.
on Hutter in this particular scene blue balls you in the right way. So if you got turned on with the feeding scenes and Interview with the Vampire with Louis and Lestat. Oh, and if you want a cure for that addiction, watch this scene. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a side shot of both bodies on the floor. It's a still shot too, mind you, and you see everything. Okay, he's and this Orlok is butt ass naked,
Oh,
mounted on top of Hutter, just drinking from his chest, but he's moving in a way like he's cowgirling him. And I was
Ugh.
like, oh my god, that was
No,
uncomfortable to watch,
dude,
but
that made
but
that made my skin
a
crawl.
that was a clever shot. And if he shot just to make it uncomfortable, he did a really good job. Really good job. And mind you, this was dimly lit. So you only see Hutter's pale body laid on the ground. You see all of Orlok's naked body. You even see his penis in the shot. Okay? There's a lot of full frontal nudity in this movie. A lot. Like he spared no expense on the wang and the bush. Like you even see Johnny Depp's daughter. You see her full
yeah, Lily
frontal.
Rose.
Look, you see everything, everything, everything. And oh boy, what a bush! It was the time period. It was time period accurate. But yeah, there
Oh,
was
you
no
know.
landing strips
I-
in that century, of course. But man, and the sex scene between her and Hutter, oh my goodness, oh my
Mhm.
goodness. But the standout performance, really, of all, the one that stand out the most was Lily Rose Depp, of course, really, because Jesus Christ, that woman need to suck on a lemon, down some water for the sound that she had to force herself to make throughout this movie, and her body. Oh my goodness, she probably had to dip her whole body in a big old bath full of ice water, because the physical demanding performance she had to go throughout this whole movie. Jesus. Do I even need to do a movie spotlight for this movie at this point? Because I'm already narrating the whole damn plot, every detail.
You're not spoiling it for me. I know everything about the plot. I've already been spoiled. My coworkers and friends have already seen this film, and
I'm
I
talking
told
for
them
everybody though.
oh,
But the thing is,
to
like,
tell
she had
me.
to she had to she had to fake seizures. She had to make wailing noises, monstrous noises, animalistic noises. She had to slobber. She had to drool. She had to have her veins popping out of her forehead. I'm like, girl, you had better win an award for this. This is some top notch physical performance, and my goodness, if this man,
I think
it,
you're
it
over exaggerating. We all know what she had to do. She just had to listen to Amber Heard's testimony and just like,
right. But the thing is, like, I mean, if she damaged any part of her body and she don't get no award, that's a fucking travesty and a steal.
No, they have not won any major awards they have one Oscar nomination, and that is for cinematography. And
There
I
we
think they
go.
have two,
What? Look,
cinematography and makeup.
I'll
That's it.
take it. I'll take it.
Okay.
Nomination. I'll take it. But like I said, if this movie didn't get nothing, all that performance that everybody did, fucking travesty. Cause yeah, like the physical strenuous activity she had to go and do it throughout this whole movie. Jesus, I mean, this girl dipped her, like, two of her legs. She had to dip both her legs in the lake and pretend like she's having a seizure. And lakes are not known for being hot tubs.
No,
Let's
they're
just say
not.
that. They're not known for being hot springs either. That's some
once upon a
cold
time,
water.
this would have been best actress material. Today,
Hmm.
eh,
Yeah.
And Lady
she's
Rose
not the
Depp
right
don't have no
skin color.
fish eyes, so Eggers don't really have a type. I thought Taylor Joy was his type, but nope,
Nope.
I was
Thankfully
wrong on
not.
that.
Ugh.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with her, but I'm just
Yeah, there's
saying,
plenty wrong.
what she do?
Can't stand looking at her. She just looks weird.
I'll, I'll accept it.
I look at her and I get the feeling like she's just gonna unzip her face and I come in peace. Take me to your leader.
Oh God.
Don't run. We are your friends.
No, the reason I asked is because I think Eggers, from my experience with his films, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think he's in that category of visual. His visuals, he's more of a visual director than he's more of a visual storyteller
Yeah, but
than
I'll
dialogue. Kind of like Denev.
I'll put him in the category of he's the Ridley Scott that I actually like.
Okay, okay.
And I say that because so far of what Eggers has done in interviews, he doesn't come off as this he doesn't come off as any director that I've seen so far trying to have a big old head about things now. So far, so good. Like, keep that energy, keep that same energy throughout your career, Eggers. Another thing I like about Eggers is that um he sticks to type, or he's comfortable where he's at right now before he's starting to make the leap of jump into something else right now.
Well, you'll like.
Rumor
You're
has it
about.
he's working on a werewolf movie as we
Yes.
speak, and
I was about to say.
I'm definitely excited to see what he does with werewolves. Like, look, man, this motherfucker should have directed the dark universe for all I care. I mean, shit. I would not be surprised if he went Frankenstein next, or say the creature of the Black Lagoon next.
Probably not, because he said he doesn't like more industrial modernist things. So you'd have to have a boat, like an engine boat. So
And for what it's worth, as accurate as he can get, he does love his period stuff. So he does period stuff way better than really Scott.
Agreed.
Yes, I said it.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm saying that for the people in the back. Yes, I said it. He does period stuff way better than at least he vies for as getting as like nearly 92% accurate. You know.
Yeah, his setting. Yeah, his settings for his films are more accurate than say season 2 of Umbrella Academy with their
This
adaptation of Dallas.
this fool will take the tiniest things and try to make them as period accurate as possible. If this fool will find anything still around and have somebody reconstruct it or restore it for the period piece, like a pipe. The pipe in the lighthouse. He has somebody reconstruct an old school, way old school pipe for that movie, just for the time period. That's how much he wants to get as accurate as possible. That's a detailed person he is, and that's what I like about him. He's a very one. He's a workaholic, which is probably not
workhorse.
Good,
that's for sure.
He's a workhorse. I pretty much heard nothing but good things from his fellow actors because he uses the same actors. Sometimes, not all the time, but he uses just about the same actors. I mean, him and William Dafoe must have a really good working relationship because that dude has been in at least about 3 of his movies already. 4, actually.
Yeah.
And still, well, he needs one more Skarsgård brother. One more. One more.
And maybe the Papa Skarsgård. Just to
the original Skarsgård.
He needs 2 more Skarsgård. He needs the next brother, and he needs the father. Because he already had Alexander. He had Alexander twice, I believe.
Yeah.
He had Bill this time. He just needs Gustav and Stalin or Stellan.
Yeah.
He needs all for the family, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. I was like man, he's like, man, if you got Gustav in the next one, okay, check off that box. But Stalin, if he ain't got him in 2 movies so far, like, man, you got a 7th one more. You got 7 one more. Put his ass in it already and get the bingo, man. Get the bingo already. I was like, man, you run a quadfecta here at this point. A quadfecta with these boys. Better make it happen, man. I'm serious. Look, man. We're talking about your movie positively and or negatively. I mean, we're giving you constructive criticism here and there, but
if he does bother to go into a modernist or industrial age stuff, he with his visual and articulate, he would really be a shoo-in to actually do what nobody's bothered to do and actually do real Lovecraft movies.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, like I said, on the all chance of him happen upon this stream and reaching the tail end of this, before we wrap it up, like, man, get Gustav and Stalin in already. Get them together if you need be. Check that bingo already.
And
I'm
make Wolf happy and give them big mustaches.
right. If need be, give me a mustache, between my legs
Oh, good.
with that quadfecta. If nothing else, have them all in one movie, and we'll have Stalin, we'll have the Skarsgård bingo complete. I'm like,
Before
man,
we go, Dom, you saw the movie, right?
Yeah, I have.
yeah, say your piece on the movie.
Yeah. Your communication or how the film communicated to you, did visually stand out to you more? Story stand out to you more? Both? What's your takeaway from it?
Yeah, the visuals definitely help communicate what Eggers I want to do in this this remake of Nosferatu, and while he was not only respectful as well as faithful to the original film, no, but he was do able to do like acts in ways that the original couldn't do at the time. Like one of them being actually showing off Orlok's overall presence, whether it's in the shadows or through his agents like Thomas's boss, so who helped initiate the whole thing. As for like the physical performance with Skarsgård and Ms. Depp, so like on one hand, like it's intrigue, but also like sadness, and you want to see her like come out of this like almost in the fight against Orlok with Orlok himself. He makes you uncomfortable, which was the intent of Eggers.
Okay.
Yeah, no QT sparkles.
Yeah, no. He
Yeah,
showed
no,
off,
no,
showed
none
off
of that.
like the real vampires, and well, and what with Anne Rice's like Vampire Chronicles series, her series unintentionally created established a unintentional net negative for the portrayal of vampires in fiction.
I don't think it was negative. I think that was just her.
No, I said net negative.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I heard negative. All right. I was going to say I don't think it was negative. I think it was just her different spin on the lore, and I respect that. I don't mind everybody's take on the lore. It's just how they express their take, and that's what I'm interested in. I don't mind if people do different takes on it. It's just how do they get across what they're trying to express with the lore? What are they trying to say? Just like with this particular film. So I was just asking, because I see Eggers as the category of visuals directors, much like Deneuve with Dune. I know you're all Dune fans, but I just think Deneuve is more a visual director that's telling the story. Villeneuve? Forgive me, my friend. Villeneuve. Okay, I don't know.
I just call him douche.
He's been acting like that lately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But even before him, like David Lynch isn't making you rest in peace. He's another example of a visual director.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He very much was a visual. I think he even said that was the kind of director he was. He was visual. He said he was more visual than anything.
And that's what he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what he focused a lot when he did his take on Dune, was to try to make it as visual as possible. Because even if you don't remember,
he wanted to be faithful to the original book. But of course, like we all know the behind the scenes story in the making of the first adaptation of Dune, it was riddled with executive meddling and interference, as well as the haphazard editing, which caused a lot of scenes to be cut like into the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They cut left in the editing room floor, and which we really look at it. It's not visually, it's not a bad movie. On the on the other hand, like it would have been nice if there was if the director's cut with David Lynch's original first adaptation of Dune that should have been released with all the scenes that were previously cut restored.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I could tell it's about a studio meddling, and the producers didn't get it, so they had to get him to slice it and dice it and cut it down. But I always said the one thing: if I didn't remember all of the dialogue in the movie, I definitely remembered the visuals, look of the movie. So I never forgot that. So that's what stood out to me. So I feel that same way about Eggers. I can't say I'm in love with all of his work. I have to be honest here, but I don't deny it comes across to me as visual. That's why I was asking my question of how was Nosferatu communicated to you? Wolf very much loved and got what Eggers was trying to communicate, and Dom, I guess you got it as well. I haven't checked it out yet, but when I'll do, I'll give my take on it. I'm just going by what I've been told from people who have seen it and some of the things they've told me. It's been a 50-50 split. It's been those that feel like Wolf and you, Dom, and then there are some that just thought it was overhyped. I know one person told me that was overhyped. That wasn't worth my time. He told me, he said, that was not all that. So there are some that said they liked the visuals of Bram Stoker's Dracula better than this one, particularly the first 20 minutes of the film. But again, I'm just going by everybody's different communications.
You mean that they're differing opinions?
Yes. Yeah, everybody's different opinion on it. Because I thought it's not, this is my circle. They may be different. They're all not unanimous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. We'll see. We'll see. Stranger. I have to see if he wants to see it. Knowing him, he probably will. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, moving on from Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, we've all talked about examples of good and effective visual communication, like through these different mediums of visual art. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now let's go over the other side of the coin, which reflects how reflects not only where visual communication is at currently, but how we actually got there. And one of the most contributing factors is the lowering of standards. Like within visual arts.
Yes, I'm a little asleep.
Worst example of communication.
There you are.
Well, basically saying it's becoming a lost art. Oh my god, it's becoming a lost art.
Bad communication becoming a lost art. That's not very lost.
I'm getting
No.
sleepy.
Oh, well, where visual communication is at currently one of the most contributing factors is the lowering of standards. Like
That's what I meant to
nowadays,
say.
it's either mediocre or lazy.
CGI
I say
everything.
Or
What?
you have
I
one
say
where
both.
they're trying real hard to be avant-garde and then they attack their fans for not liking the commercial.
CGI should. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say to blame everything on CGI specifically.
Yeah.
Not necessarily entirely on CGI. I would say like in that department, the CGI give is not giving enough time to really set up the creativity and visuals. Because the way I see it sometimes, effective CGI is like classic painting way back when. Okay, like classic paintings. Remember when I referenced old school books that have, you know, even though they're still images, they look like they were moving. I kind of put that almost in the same category as CGI at times when
Or
it's very effective.
even painted comics, like
Yeah,
back in the day.
yeah. In the effectiveness of CGI, if it's a really good CGI, that is, it almost tended to mirror that type of style of story art or art in the
Storytelling.
storybooks. in storytelling. When it's not done well, it's somebody trying to throw paint on the wall half the time.
Like that really bad Gillette commercial where they hired a man-hating feminist to make it.
Yeah.
And all
I'm
she
not
did was throw paint at the wall,
right. Exactly. And that's the
like
problem.
Dude,
like
she
in
didn't just
'90s
throw
movies where
paint
they
at
were
the
all
wall. She
about.
sat on a wet bench and then butt bumped the nearest car.
And what I mean by throwing paint on the wall, I'm talking about '90s movies where back then they threw paint balloons at the wall.
Oh.
That's what I mean when it's ineffective CGI or your substandard CGI, right?
Mm-hmm.
You run across that kind of art style. Like I said, it's when you get around to that. And granted, that whole thing, as I mentioned, it's still fun, and that's the only thing it serves as being fun, right? But unfortunately, when it comes down to the CGI of of current, not yesteryears, not necessarily that, because there were some that were trying, mind you. Okay, when you get to layer CGI, it's like, oh my goodness, this is just paint balloons being thrown at the wall at this point.
Or look at the sequential art in today's mainstream comics.
Hmm.
It's like like everything from the composition and forms to the texture and the movement, even the line work.
I
Like they
mean,
all come
goodness,
off as either lazy or amateurish.
the worst is the lack of color theory.
Yeah,
I haven't been paying attention to those much lately.
It's the lack of color theory that's also bothering me. There's in some cases there's a lot of flat coloring in a lot of the mainstream comics.
Very
There's
mute.
very, very, as Dark said, very, very mute. Like Jesus, like where is the vibrancy? Where is the popness? This is all
where's the
flat.
depth?
And I'm like, bro, it's like they picked the wrong colorists to emulate, to imitate, and the
Yeah,
wrong artists to imitate as well. You know, I begin to think that they are imitating they're imitating iZombie too much, and many Minx comics or
and
anything that's
or
not like
or
a prolific
or Mike
comic book for that
Allred,
matter. What are you gonna say,
I don't
Don?
or Mike Allred.
Yeah, go ahead, Leia.
Oh no, I was just going to say that I'm like you. I don't have a problem with CGI. I just think today they don't know how to use it. They either overuse it or they really just don't know how to use it at all because the CGI is really it's like a complement to the film. That's what it
Uh-huh.
should be. It shouldn't stand out. It's like magic. You shouldn't be able to you should not be able to say, "Oh, that's CGI." Oh, that's you should be able to look at it
So I'm
and
definitely talking
not
about the
know what
visual
is what.
aspect. If you're gonna use
Right.
CGI, you gotta have a visual aspect of showing us
And
that
how
even though you
and how well it
even in
communicates the
ways,
story and the characters' arcs.
yeah, but even in ways that even though you could tell it's CGI, it's still something to look at. It's not there to be an eyesore for that
Right.
matter.
Right. It's supposed to blend in. It's supposed to blend in. Like if you're looking at a canvas when you're painting a picture, you have to blend the colors in together to get the scene that you want.
I
And that's
really
what you have to do with CGI.
I recently watched the opening to Lost in Space, the movie. And I gotta say, like, even though it's inferior by today's standards, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of visual communication going on with that brief opening dogfight scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that the rest of the movie had to happen though. And what I mean by that is the fact that That opening alone could have been its own movie. It could have been hell. It could have been a Wing Commander movie for all I know. And we did get a Wing Commander movie, mind you. I mean, I like the film. I know everybody else don't like the film. Those who are also Wing Commander fans, which we could talk about another time. Anybody want to make a final comment about how bad visual communication has gone? Uh, let me throw this one in. Here's another thing that before we even overlook this aspect, visual communication. What is shown that clashes with what has been said?
Mm,
Well,
Have you noticed that a lot? What
yeah,
has been shown clashes at times against what has been said.
well, there was that one scene in the 2018 Shira where she has this huge emotional. I know it's supposed to be an emotional moment, and she is. I'll just do the Donald Trump version. Yes, I am very bad person. I hope you can forgive me. I made a huge mistake. It'll be fabulous. I had made the hugest mistake. Let me let me swing my sword and do my magical girl transformation into my wrestling outfit. Trust me,
another
if I'm built like Donald Trump, it'll look fabulous. Or fabulously scary. Whatever works, it'll be huge.
another example is the is Dana Terrace's Disney's Owl House, which some people are treating it as a sacred cow, even though objectively speaking, it is not a good show at
I'll do
all.
you one
But
better.
in the first,
I'll do you one better. Arcane, season two.
oh yeah, from
I
what I've been
haven't
hearing through the grapevine, that is.
I
Well,
haven't watched any of those shows.
the thing is, Arcane completely betrays what was established in the first season. Just complete. It's
Ooh.
one of the things that's a really it's a really terrible habit that a lot of these these Netflix series and many other series from elsewhere are doing too much of. And I'm sorry, but you cannot you cannot blame budget, you cannot blame time whatsoever. You cannot establish something and then just drop it immediately because you felt a different way before you got into the next season.
Oh.
That's not how that works.
That's bad
Either
writing 101.
and here's another thing: if you want to go in a different direction, you gotta transition gently and steadily as what all at once into that next thing. You cannot just turn things at the drop at, with the press of a button and just expect us to just be roll with it and cool with it. It's like it really shows that characters are and here's another thing before I even get into that whole thing. There's no
That's a lot of
convict
things.
I know, but there's no sense of time and rhyme and reason to to go from point A to point B. Hell, the way how these characters flip on a dime, there's nothing really establishing a passage of time to really ease us in to get comfortable with these changes. And
Hmm.
I'll probably talk more about that another time. But that
But
was a but every single time I was like looking away, and every single time I look up, a character will say one thing, but their actions do a whole different thing, or there would be something that be set up, and then they'll just completely just push it to the side for another thing, and really you could see where their priorities were really you can easily tell what where their priorities really were. and where what point that they wanted to get to, but they
Mhm.
didn't they didn't take enough time to build that bridge to get to that point. And of their idea, I'm not opposed to it. My problem is that you you were so scatterbrained to get there. There's this whole script, this whole story is completely just it screams of too many writers, as a lot of people say, too many cooks in the kitchen. But I'm gonna go with my description. There are way too many writers overwriting each other to the point where their ideas kept clashing.
Too many hands on the pen.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like one minute somebody writes something. It's like they took a whole little white sheet of paper, right?
Hmm.
Yep.
Too many pilots of the Ouija board and not enough burnt sage.
To give you a better visual, ha ha ha. To give you a better visual, y'all remember that one little clip of Stan Lee with Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld?
Rob
Uh,
Liefeld, Jim Lee, as well as Mark Silvestri and Will Spataccio. Yeah, I remember that.
But specifically that one scene where both McFarlane and Liefeld was drawing on one sheet of paper the superhero
yeah,
on
with that,
Yeah,
how to make a Marvel comic way of comics, but it was like this different version with more modern artists. But man, McFarlane and Liefeld were just sloppy as fuck.
they were clash their styles clash with each other so heavily. And that's basically what the writing script looked like with Arcane season 2. That's what it read to me. It's like one person was on one side writing what he what was supposed to be the follow up of what happened at the end of season 1, and then you got another writer that's writing all this fanficky lovey dovey shit in the mix of it.
What? Wait,
In
don't
between,
these guys have a story Bible? Why are they ignoring the story Bible?
right.
but that's what it read to me. Even as I was, rewinding and rechecking what I was watching, I was like, this is two completely different stories clashing with each other. Like again, one person's trying to write this way, then there's another person wrote this way, and then I heard from secondhand information they wanted to emulate Marvel down to the
Mar
parallel universe thing, down to the end game thing. I'm like, oh my goodness. Well,
Yeah,
actually, no,
I'm
they didn't
sorry,
copy end game
but
entirely. They also stole from Age of Ultron as well.
I'm sorry, but Marvel, current day Marvel, is not really the best at writing.
For obviously the comic book publisher and the film studio.
Owl House is an awful show, and I am not excited for Disney's new one. Kind of dig Humble's female Trump voice.
We need to bring back female Trump.
If
We
you
need to bring back female Trump.
the one thing I could probably say from what I've heard about Arcane season 2 is they should have actually written the romance through the main plot of the story. I mean, it's supposed to fit. It's not supposed to be two different things trying to compete for attention. If
There
you
was
wanted a good example of that, there is the romance book Karma Girl that had a protagonist who made it her mission to
I'll give
unmask
you.
superheroes because the guy that that she was going to marry turned out to be a superhero who was baiting her best friend.
I'll give you another example of this bullshit type of writing. Because this is not the first time I caught this type of writing. Vikings season 5, part A.
Oh,
there was way too much writing clashes here.
Well, you can
It
also
looked like
Mm.
somebody in the writing department, I think it might have been Hearst. It might have been Hearst, wanted to commit to the whole Viking Civil War plot, whereas
Viking.
whereas another person wanted to commit to the Great Heathen Army still invading Wessex and taking on the Saxons. And I was like, had like throughout that whole part of the season, I was like, wait a minute, didn't you want to fight this person? Now y'all buddy buddy. Did I miss something here? Then,
Oh
then, then
boy,
this
they
bro,
kind of
then this
lost the
broad is
goal of the
friends with
story.
this broad. Then this broad wants to be buddy buddy with. I'm like, come on now, weren't you an enemy of theirs at one point? Now suddenly you want to be buddy buddy with them? I was like, Jesus, like there's so much time gaps here to lead up to this.
Damn.
There's not even a moment where they sit down and say, hey, enemy of my friend, all that good stuff, or uh it'll be more beneficial for me to side with you guys than to side with this guy, you know? And I was like, oh my goodness, this is getting strange. Finally they leveled it out. They ironed it out towards the end, and things got back to where they were. And they got back to fighting, dealing with Ivar for a while. You feel me?
Mm.
But man, that part of season 5 was just really wrecking my nerves because I was like, okay, first they were fighting their main enemy, then they want to fight each other, then they want to be buddy buddy with each other, then they want to fight each other again, then they want to be buddy buddy again. I was like, do you want to fight or do you want a friend? Fight friend. You can't have both. You can't have both. You gotta have either one or the other. One or the other. And I'll give you one example. Bjorn, along with Ube, was fighting Harold, Harold and his brother Halfdan. And then Halfdan joined up with Bjorn for whatever reason. I can't remember. I ain't never seen what happened. Like what did Bjorn do to save your life to make you want him to be with him, to be on his side?
It sounds less like Vikings and more like something that you'd do with a Klingon.
My thing is, it's this soap opera writing I'm getting so sick and tired of seeing in some of the current shows, movies, or whatever. And that's what it reads like. It's soap opera writing where too many people are just recycling the same ideas over and over again, over and over again. And it's a revolving door of ideas of the same idea, just coming in and out, in and out, in and out. It's like
Drama.
one
or
minute this. I love you. I hate you. I fuck you. I hate you. I fucked you again. I hate you. I hate fucked you. Now I hate loved you. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Who's
or
being who?
or
Who's
another
being
example. Or another
who?
example is fans already figuring out the twist, and the creator or the creators immediately like disregarded because they got butthurt that the audience were able to figure out said twist like
I will.
earlier.
I will
Oh,
say this: season
Uh,
5, part 1 did one thing right that I was really satisfied with. It killed off Estrid.
hmm,
Fuck that bitch.
right.
She was a waste of
But
she was a waste, she was a waste of space. I was like,
well,
as soon as she died, I was like, and nothing of value was lost because she
well,
was such a wasted character.
from
Just
what I've
like the one in the
heard she
end,
sound
How
like
to
it.
Train Your Dragons.
Now I already lost two of y'all because Esther was y'all cinnamon roll, and I just trash talked your cinnamon roll, and I don't care. That bitch was wasted.
nah.
I
Yeah,
never watched the show, so
I didn't.
I never really watched that show.
I always tell people, anybody who wants to get into Vikings, just watch past the brothers getting their revenge for their father, and that's
But
it.
which season should people stop at?
Basically, season 4, I believe season 4 side B, because Side A is when no yeah, just complete season 4 actually. Just complete season 4. Season 4 side B is where they get their revenge, and that's it. You just stop right there. You're done.
Nah, I'm good. If I want Viking stuff, I'll either go with Beowulf or the 13th Warrior.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
the
good.
Northmen.
That too, yeah.
Well, what I
But
was getting at, what I was getting at earlier, or what was mentioned previously, of the audience like figuring out like what's gonna come, figuring out the twist, and then the creators that immediately like disregarding or change it into something that is not only anticlimactic, but also goes against what's been building up to said twist, is the Blacklist with Da- with David Spader. You know,
mm,
which it started out strong with season one, but then things eventually will lose the plot as well as the identity of Raymond Reddington and his relationship like with the other major character of Elizabeth Keene, where because like we don't know like how the two are connected to one another because she didn't know of her real dad. But with all the more clues of Raymond's past started to pop up, I realized, oh wait a minute, he's he's Elizabeth's dad. Yeah, but then the writers like ended up making it neat, not only convoluted, but also goes against what's been previously been hinted at that led up to the twist.
Mm, actually, well, it's not David Spader, it's James Spader.
I meant to
Sorry.
say James Spader.
But actually, yeah, after the main chick died, I don't know what happened there or why they killed her off, but everything just kind of became pointless after that. And as for Reddington's character, if I'm recalling right, it was kind of they didn't go full on it, but they were kind of nudging that he wasn't her dad.
It was
He
actually
was the mother
yeah when
who had a sex change.
yeah yeah
Odd.
like when they were
Wait, doesn't that usually take over a story though?
Eh,
yeah but it's well when the writers started edging towards that instead of like the previous twist of Red being Elizabeth's dad. Now like it only caused people to jump ship from the show like even more than they initially had. Because again, it just made more sense for Red to be her dad instead of like what's the implication of Red actually being like her mom who had a sex change. Because it goes against what was previously established about her parents in season one. All of which reminded me of what happened to the Clone Saga two in the 90s. That they had a plan, but then they
we're veering
decided
off
to
trajectories,
deviate too
and we
much of the
need to
plan.
get wrapping up.
Mm.
Well, let's wrap things up. Of like what can be done to get visual communications back to where it was.
or tits.
Oh my God.
Study the old ways for one.
And restore the standards. Restore the standards to what they were instead of continuously lowering them down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the old
yeah.
art was a lot of nude statues,
Oh,
and yep.
And I said, and one last solution is acknowledging that art and beauty are not subjective. They are actually objective because they are measurable.
agreed. Talent, and like you said, raise the standards. The standards have to be raised higher, and for those that want to do this art to live up to it. No excuses.
Yep, it's got to be natural, no pills. So get it higher, get it strong, get it hard.
Oh my God, Jesus. Oh,
Ooh,
oh,
gonna
Wolf, here
drug
you go,
you up.
Sam. Oh, goodness.
Ooh,
I thought we
gonna
was wrapped.
drug you up.
I thought she was.
I thank everybody for being here. Those Jesus, we had 8 of you tonight originally, and those nonsense and motherfuckers that keep popping in and out. We are back, everybody. We are fully back. We're gonna commit, and changes are bound, but we are going to commit throughout this whole year. Hopefully, no more natural disasters are going to happen. Hopefully, no calamities are happening anytime soon, or any tragedies. And more to the point, we're going to we're going to distance, guys. Let's just say that we're going to distance, and you'll uh you'll see that I'll keep my promises on things that I set out to do when we start this whole show. Okay, because we're so back. We're so back, guys, and I'm ready to keep things going and keep doing the show, guys.
Hmm.
And hopefully we'll probably see some new members come forth in the future. I'm not saying anytime soon, anything like that. I'm just saying we don't know what the future holds for us. I can't speak for all you guys. I can't speak for anyone here on this panel. How long y'all be willing to stay here? Let's just be real, guys. Let's just be real. We're not forever for all this, but wherever you guys want to set out to do in y'all lifetime going forward, that's all up to you. All up to all of you.
Well, I'll think about that once I collect my 401k.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, thank you, the lovely Leia about Leia plus size.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is Leah Plus Size, your lovely lady of valor. Thanking you for joining us for this conversation about communication through visual media or through video games or books or graphic novels. We hope you enjoyed some of the examples that we gave. If you could think of some other examples that inspire you or that you enjoy or that you remember about communicating through visuals, please leave it in the comments below. We really like to hear from all of you. We'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. So leave in the comments below, and I'm sure Wolf will very much appreciate that. But until then, we will everybody enjoy their weekend, and we'll see you next time. The Real Millennials.
Hmm.
The humblest of writers, humble Marty.
Hello, I am Humble Marty, and I write things. Thank you for coming to our talk about visual communications in our communication series for the Real Millennials. I hope everyone has a nice day. My stuff's on Amazon.
Huge.
Oh.
That's another thing. I need to tag your Amazon
Oh,
humble.
yeah.
Show it in the
The
Discord.
Hound of the South, Dominic Powell.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us in part two of our communications quadrilogy of the Real Millennials. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Wolf Team Media's channel, and stay tuned for next Thursday, where we going through part three, which is written communication. This is the Hound of the South, Donnie Powell, signing off. And remember that cynicism and nihilism are for losers. Keep your head up, and remember, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Never lose hope and idealism, as well as optimism.
Yep, the light. Go into the light. It is the birthing. I mean, the
Oh, God.
passage to something better. Totally not a birthing reference.
The Sixth Ranger, Snarky Darky, Dark Stranger.
Well, hi, thank you for having me again.
This is your Will Commander. Remind you guys to tune in for upcoming projects that we got going on. We have an upcoming chill stream coming soon. Can't tell you when because we are also possibly rescheduling the streams. So we'll see on what we'll decide for when we're gonna do all that. I'm hungry right
Just
now.
don't cross the streams. We
I'm
all know what
stammering.
happens when we cross the stream.
Stammering because I'm hungry. I'm stammering because I'm hungry. But I'm trying to keep it together, guys. Coming up, of course, is our tradition, our Black History is American History kind of stream coming up. We also have a Valentine's stream in the on schedule. There's also a few anime spotlights coming up. Specifically, we're doing a long tradition of this this channel where we tackle another Robotech related uh program coming up. Can't tell
Well,
you what it is. Shut up, Dom. I'm not done.
Oh, good.
But we got that going on. Manga studies is another thing that's also coming up. We are definitely going to be continuing Claymore sometime later down the road. But we're also going to be tackling a manga series that's not really much talked about, but it's well thought about and spoken positively. Kaiju number 8, and
Ooh, yes.
maybe, well, not maybe, a certainty we're definitely going to pick through the requested manga, but then again, I'm gonna throw in a community tag for everybody to throw in their request manga. So we will definitely do a requested manga stream for manga studies. Of course, we also got movie spotlights coming up. Definitely going to talk double feature Nosferatu and Alien Romulus. Yes, I bit the bullet and watched Alien Romulus. And short answer, fuck that movie. I I like it better than Covenant. Let's just say that. It's better than Covenant for sure, but oh my goodness, the way how these characters behave, Jesus, they almost neck and neck for the Covenant crew.
I would
Almost
say
neck
I
and
like
neck.
Covenant a little more only because Romulus isn't Don't Breathe in space, which ironically is done by the same people who did Don't Breathe.
True. I'm
So
he's not
just
wrong.
we'll talk more about that when we cross that bridge. Of course, we'll cross that bridge soon. What's another thing on the list? Oh yeah,
Well, besides that,
hang on, man.
Oh God.
We're definitely returning to elevator pitch. I'm not sure what the subject is going to be, but we're definitely going to be doing an elevator pitch this year. So when I finally get the subject going, I'll let you
I got
guys
an
know.
idea.
Shut up.
It's a good
And
idea.
I know, but we're going to be doing top tens this year as well. Starting with the top 10 suit ups in movies. Well, I wouldn't say top 10. We'll go with top 5. There's not many suit up scenes this much in current year movie making, but back then, sure enough. Um, and top 10 lock and load sequences, or top 5 lock and load sequences. So definitely, we'll talk about those top 5. Y'all start sifting through y'all movies of which are your favorite top 10 lock and load montages and suit up montages. And y'all ain't got no excuse, and y'all should not have no problem because there is a lot of lock and load sequences and suit up sequences. Trust me.
He's jacked it. I mean,
Oh
some-
God.
But as I end these stream on as I usually do, you are the UN Spacey. Welcome to the Wolf Fleet. Do you want to say
forgot.
something now?
Well, you forgot one last item.
What is it?
Also, in our schedule, the real millennials will be returning to Fan Work Book Club, which means we're gonna be returning to covering Dragon Ball Gine.
Mm.
Right. That's another thing we're going to be tackling this year as well.
Dragon
You're
Ball Mommy.
you are the UN Spacey. Welcome to the Wolf Fleet.
Me and my friends get no respect. What does